All right, Wayne Bettis here, the founder of the Off the Tools podcast. I just want to introduce you to our brand new sponsor, directplumbing.supplies.com. It is founded by a former tradesman who has set up his own plumbing and heating merchants. He has an online shop, which is obviously at directplumbing.supplies.com, and he delivers across the UK. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the rest of the show. Welcome to the next installment of the Trades Growth Summit. Today, I am joined by an absolute legend of the plumbing and heating industry. Not only does he run a plumbing and heating business, he's a fixed radio host and a social media giant in the industry. Mr. Andy Cam, welcome to the Trade Growth Summit.
How you doing, Wayne? You all right, mate? Nice to hear from you again. Yeah, good.
It's lovely to speak to you, and I really appreciate you taking the time out to support this Trade Growth Summit with raising money for Help for Heroes, which obviously is a very good cause. So thank you very much for contributing your time, knowledge, and expertise to the program that we're doing at the moment. So let's kick this straight off. So within the plumbing and heating industry, a lot of people will know you, but this is going out across the UK, to tradesmen and women from all different backgrounds. Can we just get a little bit of an introduction to sort of who Andy Cam is, where you've come from?
Yeah, no problem. That's fine. Basically, I'm Andy Cam. I've been a plumber now for 42 years. I've had my own business now for 32 years. So yeah, that's sort of the background of where I come from. Started back in 1979, I think it was, at college. Did 5 years at college. Then went off working for lots of other companies doing central heating mostly, just contracting, doing that kind of stuff. And then worked up to, I think it was 1990, I started my own business. So yeah, that's basically who I am and what I've been up to over the last 4 decades.
Oh, wow, 4 decades in the industry, eh? I'm only halfway there at the moment, 20 for me, so 20 years. So back then, I'm guessing you went through what back then was a traditional route through a long apprenticeship. Would that be right?
Yeah, I mean, it was called City and Guilds back in the day. I mean, just before me, about maybe 45 years before that, they were called indentured plumbers. And so if you were an indentured plumber back in the day, this was even before my time, Wayne, so you can't have a go at me for this one, for being old. But what they used to have to do is that somebody would say that they would be an indentured plumber, which means you're an apprentice. So somebody would take you on, and that meant if times turned hard, i.e. your mum and dad died, yeah, that person would look after you. They were sent to look after you. And it was like, that's a weird way from there. But then obviously passed a few years, and then that's where I came. So City and Guilds, we did 3 years for your City and Guilds course, and then another year and a half, which was called Advanced Craft. So we did that. I mean, we started off, I think there was 45 in our class, and that was day release. So you used to go 1 day and 2 nights a week for 3 years. And then we went another year and a half for Advanced Craft. And I think when we finished the Advanced Craft, there was 3 of us left on the course. So a lot of them had just done the 3 years and then gone off to do their plumbing courses as plumbers. But we carried on and just, I don't know, really. I don't think it led to much, but it could lead you into things like if you wanted to be a teacher, it would take a year off your course and that kind of stuff. So there were a lot of other things that it could lead into. So that's the reason why I did it. So yeah, that's where I started.
So back in the old days, I'm going to call it, was a lot of it sort of like barrel work, iron, lead work, and was that a big part?
To be honest with you, I think I was just on the end of the lead work. So I was taught how to wipe lead joints, but only onto copper. So we used to wipe a lot of lead joints onto copper because that was the only way back in those days of connecting copper to lead. And obviously there was a lot of lead in people's properties. People didn't want to just rip it all out and put all new copper in. So we used to have to join on here and there. And so back in the early 80s, that was the way that we used to do it. And then, of course, back in the early 80s, there was the copper shortage. So there wasn't a lot of copper. So they went down to the thin-walled copper. I think it was called Table X, I'm not sure. And it was really thin. You couldn't bend it. You had to anneal it, which was heat it up with a blow lamp and bend it with a spring because there were no pipe benders back in those days. So you had internal springs and that kind of stuff. So yeah, I mean, when I think back now to the apprenticeship that I had, which was then obviously teaching me how to wipe lead joints, to the apprentices, I've got an apprentice of my own, and he's learning how to use plastic pipe, plastic fittings, and press fit, which is obviously a lot easier. But obviously, it's great. I think it's great for the industry that times change and everything's obviously got along for the easiest. I mean, when I was at college, it was all very. The thing that cost the most money would be the pipe and the fittings and that kind of stuff. Whereas now it's totally changed, and the labour side of stuff is like way more expensive than anything else.
Yeah.
So, like anything that can save you a bit of time now is saving you a lot of money because you're obviously putting that against the labour costs.
Yeah, no, definitely. Even in the 2 decades that I've been in the industry, the change I've seen has been, massive. So I can't imagine the difference between 40 years ago and today. So obviously you did your apprenticeship and you worked, you gained your skill, so to speak. So what was the decision to go out on your own? What made you do that?
Well, I think it was all down to money back in those days, and it was like. We used to do contracting. So all I was doing every week was fitting central heating. So I'd go and fit a central heating, finish that one, and go and fit another one. And so as a rule, I would fit 2 central heatings a week on my own. But they were different. It wasn't a combi boiler then. It was a boiler, a cylinder, a tank, S-plan, all the radiators. The radiators weren't as easy as they are now. And so, yeah, that's what I was doing back in those days. So I worked for about 5 or 6 different companies doing that. So you used to just get paid per job. So the quicker you got it done, the more money you earn.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, yeah, this is something I've always wanted to be my own boss. So I know this is what I'll do. I shall go and I'll be my own boss. And that's what I did. So, yes, I mean, although I think I was employed for about 5 years. So I've probably been self-employed now for 37 years.
Wow. So I bet you've seen some change on that front as well then.
100%. Yeah. I mean, it's, I don't know. I think that like we've talked about before in the past, and because I've talked to you on many occasions about different stuff, because what we try and do is make life easier and better and quicker and nicer for the guys coming through now, because, they're the ones that are, picked my own arm there, trying to hold this up. But no,
the interview, just so everyone is aware, Andy's a working guy. He's on a job. He's taken time out of his working day to do this. So he's at the moment, I'm going to share a little inside secret here. We duct taped his phone to the steering wheel, and I can't believe it. I can sense a little malfunction happening right now.
I'll tell you what's happened. What's really funny is because it's red hot, it's melted the glue and it's falling off. So I'll hold it now. So we'll be all right. We'll get there. We'll get there. Improvisation, which is what we have to do many times as a plumber.
Exactly. It's a fundamental skill to be able to think on your feet and just get through it, isn't it?
It is. I mean, like a lot of people, because obviously we do a lot on social media, which we'll come on to in a bit. But a lot of people ask me about running a business. And it's like, there's people like you that help people run businesses and show them how to do stuff. Because as a tradesperson or as any person, you always think, I'm going to go off and I'm going to be my own boss. I'm going to get all the money myself. I'm not going to have to share the money with anyone else. It's going to be great. And I'm going to be loaded. I'll have as many days off as I want. I can do whatever I want, whenever I want. Now, out of all that, the only thing that you can do when you're self-employed is do whatever you want, whenever you want. But if you don't do anything, you ain't getting any money. So always put that into perspective. And I always say, it's easy to be a tradesman. And we all, I think you find a lot of people who are good tradesmen think, I'm going to work for myself. But nobody teaches you how to run a business successfully. So it's very easy to be a tradesman. And then, I remember when I first set off, I thought, I've got all this work in front of me. And because I've been working at the weekends for myself, it ended up where I've got loads of work in. I thought, it's going to be great, this. After 3 weeks, all the work had ran out. And I was like, I never thought about continuation of work or buying materials and, keeping a track of where I've been, what I've done, invoicing, tax, all that kind of stuff that somebody else used to do for you when you worked for someone else and you just got a wage. It's like a total different story now, isn't it? It's like a nightmare.
Hands down. And you've just given the example of so many, I call it the success trap. It's where you're good at your job, whatever trade that might be, plumbing, heating, electrics, bricklaying, carpentry, whatever it is, you get to the point where you're a master at that. You just fall into the trap of going, well, I'm going to go out on my own. But you forget that you spent 3 to 5 years, honing that master status within your trade to then start a business with pretty much, I'd say 99% of tradespeople start a business just because they're good at the job and they're busy. They've had no sort of training or guidance or mentorship. And that's partly, sort of the event that we're putting on today. We've got speakers from industry experts to business experts, coaches, mentors. That was the whole point, was to sort of start to bring to the industry knowledge and information that if you're interested in, you've got somewhere to go and get it from. Because the big battle for me back in the day when I sort of realized, oh, I'm a rabbit in the headlights here, was, well, where do I go? Who do I ask? Like we always had, I don't know about you, but like technically, I always had a support system. When I was on the tools, if I had a problem, I could ring my old boss. I could ring the guys from the local merchants, to ask technical questions and, overcome problems. But I could never find somewhere for that for business, which sort of prompted me into what I do now, really. So with your actual business, is it just you? What's been the journey? I think you said 1990. So how's that progressed?
I started, there was 2 of us. I had a partner back in those days. And I think we started Cozy Warm probably in the late 80s. So maybe 88, I think it goes back. But then he went off working for himself, and he's done really well out of it, to be honest with you. I'm still friends with him, Keith. I met him at college when I was 16. We worked together. We're both hardworking guys. He's done really well for himself, and he's got, he was the guy, one of them that used to do all the flats and the big stuff, whereas I always shied away from that because I didn't want to get ripped off, and he got ripped off a couple of times, and I just thought, I don't really want that. So I ended up at my height, I think I had 7 guys working for me and me, and I found that I went home, and I remember going home and saying to my wife, I've created a job in my own business that I don't want. I don't want to be this person. I don't want to be that person that has to, wipe his bum, then go and mop his mess up and then do something else. And then they were all moaning about jobs and how come he's got a better job than me and I don't want this, and he earns £1 more than me. And you know what? I think I did it for about six months, 12 months, and I just went, I can't be doing this. So I went in and I got rid of everybody. And so I went down to 3 of us, and there were 3 of us for possibly 15 years. And then just before the pandemic, the guys that I had working for me, one I'd had for about 5 years, and Luke was another good apprentice that came right through from being 16. I'd had him about 15 years, something like that. And they said they wanted to go on their own. And that was the February before the pandemic, which was lucky for me because obviously we didn't know the pandemic was going to come up and turn, be a nightmare. So they went off on their own. And then obviously the pandemic came. So when they were going on their own, I was thinking, oh my God, what am I going to do? I'm going to be on my own. Oh my God, I don't know what to do. And I tell you what, it's been nearly coming up to 2 years. It's been the best 2 years I've ever had. Because
really, yeah.
Yeah, because what I don't now, I've got an apprentice now, a guy who comes in and helps me. He's at college 1.5 days a week. So he's 36. So he's obviously an older apprentice, and he's doing really well. He's a good lad. You don't have to teach him how to work. He's got the ethics and all that kind of stuff. He's got it. He's in his 2nd year now as apprenticeship, and he's a good lad. Yeah, so he's a really good lad. And so what I want to do is do things like a lot of my social media stuff is in the week. So sometimes people might want you to go to do a video somewhere. They might want you to go to an exhibition, or they might want you to go to their manufacturer. Might want you to go and look around there where they make stuff. And so if I've got other people to organise all the time, and then I've also got to get to these places, I find it right stressful. So because I can run my own business all just by myself with me, it's so much easier. It's like somebody taking a big weight off my shoulders. Yeah.
I've heard that and sort of been through that myself as well. So I think it's a very common thread that, you know, you feel that bigger's better when in reality, you know, everyone's different, of course, you know, and fundamentally you've got to be happy and content in yourself, you know, and it sounds like you found a spot, you know, where everything works for you, you know, like you still get to do the work, but you get time to do the other side of your life, which we're going to sort of move on to now, if you're ready to go into that.
Yeah.
So social media, what's the question I'm trying to ask here without being a little bit rude? You know, if you've been in the industry 40 odd years, you know, you're of the older generation, so to speak. I hope I've put that politely, Mr.
Very
Andy
kind.
Cam.
It's a lot better than saying, how did you get into it, you old git?
Basically, that's the question. Yeah, basically, that was the question. How did you get into it, you old git?
Well, basically, you know, like we were talking about, you know, joining joining something that's going to teach you how to run a business. Yep. Well, I think you've got Craig on here. It's the EBA, the Elite Business Academy, and I went to join that. I used to do all his plumbing. He used to do a lot of loft conversions, so I used to work for him all the time. And he came and he said one day, Andy, I've got this idea for this business networking event. What do you think? I said, it's a great idea, and I will help you out with no problem. But I'm not putting any money in. But
typical Yorkshireman.
That's it. Well, he's great, and he's really good, and he's done really well, and he'll be able to teach you about that because I think he's on here anyway.
Yes, he is. He's on another episode.
Yeah, and he's well worth listening to. I mean, I went down and I listened to him, and to be honest with you, he'll tell it your own self. But basically, he went through a real sticky patch with his business where he was robbing Peter to pay Paul. It was a nightmare. He'd got about 50 people working, and it was just a nightmare for him. And he ended up getting a business coach to come in and teach him how to run a business properly, like you do, and like there are other people out there that do this kind of stuff. I would say to people, if you want to learn how to do it properly, listen to somebody who's done it. And so he set this thing up, and then he said to me, Andy, this was 9 years ago. He went, Andy, you need to get on Twitter. I went, I ain't bothered about Twitter. He went, no, you really want to get on Twitter. I said, I don't care what next door's dog has had for his dinner. I don't care. And he went, no, it's not like that. It's for business. And I went, well, he said, right, pass me your phone. So I gave him a telephone, and he set it up, and he went, right, you're on Twitter now. You're Cozy Warm Plumber. Right, okay. So I said, well, what do I do? He said, do videos. I said, well, nobody does videos. He said, do videos, as that's the king of everything on this format. Videos are everything. So the first video, I said, what do I do? He said, well, just do a video at work. And I'm like, so I always try and have a bit of fun at work, because I think sometimes life's too boring to just be boring all the time, be serious. So I went to this job, and I was doing a cellar conversion. So we were digging it down, and I was putting all the plumbing in. So I was drilling through the joists to put some plastic pipe through, and all the wood shavings were all going in my hair, all down my shirt. And I looked at the guy, and I was videoing it, and I went, people ask me, they say, Andy, have you got dandruff? And I said, no, I've just been drilling through these joists all the time. And that's why I love plumbing. All right. And that's the first ever video I ever did. And that's where the I Love Plumbing thing came to fruition.
Oh, fantastic.
And so I ended up where I put that onto Twitter, thought nothing else of it. Just thought, well, it's going to be our video that goes out there. Anyway, within, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 hours, I had loads of people going, fantastic, Andy, that was really funny. When are you doing the next video? And I was like, these people need to get out more. Don't they? These people aren't, it's like, so I then started doing videos that were funny for people, i.e., like at lunchtime, break time, if you're working on your own, a lot of people pick the phones up, have a quick look at what's going off. There's a lot of people doing videos and that now, but what I was trying to do is make it so that the people who are working on your own, it can get boring. So if you're looking at somebody else who's having a bit of a laugh, it makes you feel a little bit better. And that's what, in the original social media, for me, that's what it was about, showing people that you can have a laugh, no matter how old you are, you can have a laugh on building sites. like I said earlier, labour is very, very expensive now. So a lot of times you can't have a laugh because people don't want you to be doing that. They want you to see you working, don't they? So building sites for me have always been a little bit about having a bit of fun, with your other tradesmen, people in your trade, bricklayers, electricians, whatever, have a bit of a giggle with them. And that's what I set out to do. And then from sort of 9 years ago to what's happened now, it ends up where, you end up, you can have a big, they call people influencers, but it's having an influence on other people. And I don't like to be called an influencer because I'm not trying to show people, I'm not trying to make people use something they don't want. All I ever try and do is, my motto is, if I can help you get home earlier, earn extra £1 an hour, do a job a little bit quicker and make it easier for you, that's me. That's what I want to do. And so I do get approached by companies who want you to work for them. And I do work for quite a lot of companies, but I only ever work for the companies that I would use, or I do use, or I think is a good fix for the people that watch what I do. And so, it's nice to be, to go around these places. And the other good thing I find about it is that people will come to you with new ideas, and you're like, oh, that's a great idea. Or maybe you should think of such and such, a lot of people who invent things are very much like the people we were talking about earlier, who have got a fabulous idea. I'm going to be a millionaire. I'm going to be a millionaire. And then, oh, how do I patent this? Where should I go with this? I need this plastic thing making. What should I do with that? So the good thing about me now is that I know a lot of the big companies. So I can, if somebody does come up with a fabulous idea, they come to me and I'll go, I know where to put you. You can go and see. And it's amazing how many people you can help by just knowing other people.
Yeah.
So for me, that's sort of the social media. So that's why the old git got into social media.
Well, I never knew that story. So thank you very much for sharing it. On the social media, then, obviously, every year there's a fresh bunch of men and women, trying to make a name for themselves in the industry and get out there. Is there any specific bit of advice you would give them? If they're trying to get their name out there a little bit and start to make some waves?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I think that there are a lot of people that have come on over the last 2 years. And I think that because when I first started doing videos, it was like everybody was scared to do videos. They were a little bit like taboo. Ooh. And I remember doing videos myself and taking 20 and 30 attempts to do a video because I was never happy with the way I looked or how I sounded or whatever. Whereas now I don't care. It's like I want to be true to me. I want to show people exactly who I am, what I do. And it seems to be working all right because I think that the people who are false get caught out. They catch themselves out. It's like people who aren't very good at lying would never make very good spies. It's like, so what I would always say to people, the younger or they might be older people, I don't know, find a niche, right? Find a way of doing something or getting a message out there that is different to what other people are doing. Yeah. And I've always asked the people who ask me to work for them, and I always say, why do you ask me? Because there are other people out. There's loads of people out there now, plumbers, whatever it's tool manufacturers. And I always think, why would they ask me? And everybody says exactly the same. And that's because you're you and you are not trying to be anybody else. And I think
100. I would echo that. You are genuine. You come across. It just oozes out of you. Like you're just genuine. You can just spot people that aren't, and you can spot people that are, and that's sort of how I first sort of got to hear about you was, saw a few videos and I thought, but you mix it in. You mix in some great humor as well.
I think that I like to do that because I am that kind of person. I think that somebody once said to me, what would you like to have done if you weren't a plumber? And I said, I would have loved to have been a stand-up comedian, but I can't make people laugh. I'm like, I haven't got that timing and I can't remember the jokes quick enough. But what I can do is do silly things that'll make people laugh. So I think that's the sort of thing. I'd like to have my own show, just doing silly things and stuff like that. But that's not going to happen, is it? But you never know.
No, I heard you were in the top 10 sexiest men in Sheffield, weren't you?
Was there?
I don't know. I just thought I'd give you the accolade. You know,
It
a
was
bearded
actually
brother like
top
myself.
5, mate. It was the top 5.
So that, you know, that, so I think what I got from that was, you know, be genuine, you know, be yourself, and try and do something a little bit different to, you know, to everybody else.
And also try and, if you can get across there, a way of helping people, because you know, I talk to a lot of people all over the world. It's amazing how you can talk to people in Africa, you can talk to people in Australia, New Zealand, America, Canada, wherever it is. And when you're a plumber or in the building trade, a lot of people are very similar. You know, we are very similar. I mean, I come to talk to you, and we got on like house on fire, as if we would been chatting for years. And it's because you've all got that common background, isn't it? And I think that's what it is. I mean, the funny thing for me, I've done 2 things that have made me laugh. Is like, wherever you go, you'll always find somebody who knows you off social media. So a couple of years ago, when you could go abroad, I went over to Jamaica. I got on a cruise ship, and we were going to sail around South America. So the first day we were on the boat, I was there with my little girl and my missus, and we were walking up these stairs in this fabulous cruise ship, absolutely gorgeous. And there were this man and his wife walked down, and as he got to the side of me, he went, "Excuse me, mate." I went, "Yeah." He went, "Are you a plumber?" I went, "Yeah." He said, "I follow you on Instagram." I just walked off. So I was laughing, thinking, I'm the other side of the world, and somebody knows who I am. And then to top all that off, it was like I was in Morrison's, and I was just going shopping. So I'd gone in the back of the car, got my bags out, and I was walking in Morrison's car park across a crossing. I was going one way. There was one guy coming the other way. Didn't know who he was, never seen him before. As he got to the side of me, he whispered, "And that's why I love plumbing." And it took me about 5 minutes to stop laughing. And I was thinking, what have I created, this I love plumbing thing? And it made me laugh, that you can get to see so many different people. And again, like we've said, we both do it. If you can help someone, why not? You know.
Yeah, you know, helping people was the driving factor for what I do now.
I can see that. I know that, don't I? That's probably why we get on well.
Yeah, exactly. And I think you nailed it when you said about that common ground, you know, like we know what it's like, you know, to have problems at jobs, or to have nightmare customers or nightmare staff, or whatever it might be. You know, there's a lot of shared experiences, although it might be across the country or across the world. The experiences are people at the end of the day, aren't they? And it don't matter where they come from. So you're also, one thing we haven't spoke about yet is that you're a radio host now as well.
Oh yeah, that was funny, because maybe 2 years ago I got a phone call off a guy, and he said, "Oh, hello Andy, I've seen your stuff on social media, and I want you to come for I want you to come across and have an interview for a job." And I was like, I've been self-employed for 35 years. I don't need an interview. I'll just wait for myself. I thought it was one of the lads who'd got somebody to ring me up. So I'm like taking the mickey out of this guy. And then I realized, like after 5 or 10 minutes, that it is a real person. And that, so it's got some guys on motorbikes. So it is a real person. And he said that he wants me to go to London. So I've gone down to London, and I've done a show, just like a thanks for your noise. It's parked aside of me there. So I've gone down to London, I've done the interview, and he says, "Well, to be honest with you, I've got 2 other people." He said, "But you were very good." I said, "Oh, all right, thank you." Anyway, off I went, and a couple of weeks later he phoned me and said, "Yeah, you've got the job if you want it." So I was like, do I really want this job? I've got to go to London every week, and I've got to do it live in London, in a studio, with the cans on, doing all the buttons and everything, and it's live. What I've used to be doing is videos. If I don't like it, just wipe it off and do another one. I can't do that now. I'm live. So I remember going down in January a couple of years ago and doing the first one. And honestly, I was dying. I was absolutely dying. And then after 2 minutes, it seemed to go like whoosh, and it had gone. And you were like, oh, it was actually quite easy. And then I got on to interviewing people, a bit like what we're doing, just chatting. And I got the first guy I got down there was a kid called Dave Smith, condensate pro, you know.
Yeah, I know Dave.
So we were in the studio, we've got the cans on, he's sat on one thing, I'm here, my producer's there, I've got all the buttons, the music's going, we've got timings down, it's like proper Apollo, NASA stuff. So there we were. Anyway, we did the first 5-minute session, and he was talking like this, he was talking really fast because he wanted to get everything out as fast as he could. You know what? Because sometimes that's what happens, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it finished, and we went on to a bit of music, and I said, right, you've got to slow down, Dave. I said, it's far too fast. The people won't understand what you're saying. And I said, and the music that was on was Bad Manners, Lippo Fatti, that one. I said, right. I said, stand up. So he stood up. I went, come on then. So me and him started dancing to Lippo Fatti, right? So we're dancing to this record. And then the producer went, Andy. I went, look around. Yeah. He went, 5 seconds, 4, 3, and we were back on again. So then we had to sit back down again. And so everybody that came then, Hattie Hassan, she came. She's got an MBE. I've had Pimlico plumbers and all that. I've had loads and loads of different people on. And what I've done, every time anybody comes, I make them dance. I make them dance in between the sessions. And we have a right laugh, to be fair. It is quite, it's tongue-in-cheek. There's nothing serious. A bit like what we're doing. It's, if you can have a bit of a laugh, great. And I find that that's the best way of getting stuff out of people is by talking to them like they're your mate,
Yeah, I 100% agree, and I'm hoping that transpires in here. This is like just a conversation, isn't it, between two guys that just talking about the industry and that. So like with the fixed radio, obviously, and the social media and your day-to-day, cozy warm plumbers, is there any other time that do you get much downtime to sort of detach from all of the commitments?
Yeah, to be honest with you, it's like before my missus used to be like, you're always on your telephone, you're always on that phone, and I was trying to explain to her that I was trying to build something that was going to be worthwhile, but when every spare minute that you're not working, or even when you're working, is spent on your phone, fiddling, videoing, doing videos, finding other things out, finding stuff out, doing this, doing that, chatting to people, it can take over. It can take over your life. And so I've always been of the opinion of, I've got my life, I've got all my friends, I've got some really good friends that I went to school with, so I've known them for 50 odd years. And it's like, we always go out, we always have a laugh, we always keep, I know that on the back of anything, if anything went wrong, I could ring them up and I could get help, and the same with them. But I always find that social media is like having real friends, but on acid, because there's thousands of people, and a lot of them think that they know you personally because they've seen you on videos. And I always think, I wonder what it must be like, to be a soap star or a pop star or something like that. I think it must be like a bit of a nightmare, really, because they've got to be seen to be nice all the time, haven't they? And if you're not, and I get people who come up to me at exhibitions and they go, hello, my name's Dave, I'm blah, blah. And I'm like, I'm trying to think who they are. And if you've got, 80,000 followers, you can't know everybody. And when Dave's come up, and if he's talked to you before, he might have just sent you a few messages. I've never seen his face. He might be a Lego man on his profile picture, might be a Lego man. And I'm like, you don't look anything like Lego man, And so sometimes it's difficult to be friends with everybody, isn't it? But you've got to be seen to be friends with everybody. And I do want to be friends with everybody. No, I'm not. There's a few people on social media that you can't get on with everybody, and you can't like everybody all the time. And not everybody can like you. And I get that. It's not a problem. But I always say it's a bit like a television. If something you don't like, then just switch it off. Switch off. And that's it. Don't get in a fight with them. Don't tell them they're wrong. Don't try and prove that you know more than them. Just get on and have a laugh and try and help each other.
Yeah, no, I would 100% agree on that. It just scroll on by is what I call it. If it's not what you want to see, listen to, or agree with, just move on and crack on with it. But you always seem to have a good smile on your face. So are you just you're just content and happy, or do you work on that area of your life at all?
I am naturally a happy person, and I've never been depressive or, feel, lots of things have happened to me in my life where, horrendous things have happened to me. And, my mum and dad died when I was young, and, you're like, but I always try and put a brave face on for everything and everybody. And also, I do things like people might not see out there, but I do stuff like maybe 4 or 5 years ago, I put on there, if you're feeling depressed, it was before all the depression and health and talk to people, give me a ring. And I put my telephone number on. And I tell you what, up until I think I've still got one now, but I had 3 guys that used to ring me up, not every week, not every month, but once every couple of months, and I just chat to them, and they'd be like, "Oh, I'm not having a good time," and I used to just try and bring them out what they bad bits and talk about other things, and try and get them. And they always used to, when we finished the conversation, they went, "Thanks, Andy, cheers, mate," and I always be like, "Great, no problem." It took me 20 minutes, 25 minutes out of my day to try and be nice to people, and it's I don't know. I think that if you are a happy-go-lucky person like I am, then it must be, I can't understand what it must be like to be on the other side. Now, it must be a really dark, horrible place to be. And if there's somebody that you can have a chat to, so be it. Great.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. Yeah, no, I agree with that as well, because, it seems to be getting more and more people. I think social media and phones and stuff all plays that part in
100%.
in that, because you're seeing all the glamorous, great stuff, and like life isn't like that in real reality, is it?
No, it's not. It's like a lot of people they do the powder photographs to make themselves look better. Everything's always great, isn't it? And I can always see the other people who are like, well, my life's not like that, so there must be something wrong with me if I'm not like that. And so I don't know. There's a lot of people who, they don't lie about stuff. They just want everybody to think that they're okay. And I mean, like most people want other people to think that they're okay, don't they? Most people. Yeah,
no, definitely. So what's next for Andy Cam then, and Cozy Wall Plumbing and the I love plumbing movement? Is there any big plans?
Yeah, well, I've heard that Bradley Walsh is now shitting himself because I've got my own radio station and I'm coming for the game shows.
The Chase, you would be a natural on the Chase. You've got to go for it.
No, mate, I don't know. It's I get a lot of people who want me to help them out with new concepts and stuff like that, and I find that that for me is like my thing that drives me. I like to see new things. I like to show other people new things. So if somebody's got a new tool, or I don't know, Thomas Dudley or McAlpine have got this fabulous new thing they've invented, I want to show other people how easy it is to use and how it can help them in their business to save time, money and effort. And I think that's all it's really for me. If I can save time, money and effort, I want to do that. And if I can, that's my real forte. That's what I really enjoy doing. And that is it. I mean, I know it sounds sad, but that is
that's fantastic. So just more of what you're doing, and just getting more messages out there and help and support for people.
It is, and it's interesting, and you get to meet. I think the difference is that as a plumber and have my own business, you get to meet a lot of salesmen, don't you? You might meet the sales director, that kind of stuff. Whereas the people I'm dealing with now are massive, massive, multi-million-pound companies, and I know and knock about with the directors or the guys who own them.
Yeah,
and it's and I used to think that they were like, whoa, above me. I can't even I wouldn't even be able to look at one of them. They're just people like us. They are just ordinary blokes, just like us. You can go out, have a laugh with them, have a giggle. I mean, I remember one little story where I was at Fex and I was working for Thomas Dudley, and so there were two of the main guys from Thomas Dudley. They're not really my background, but I get on with them. We have a laugh, and they've obviously been to university. They've excelled at what they do, and we're working on this stand, right? So I said to him, right, what we're going to do this time is, if they walk past the stand and you get them to come to the stand, you get 1 point, right? If they walk past you and I get them to come to the stand, they've gone past you and I've got them, that's 2 points. If they walk past the stand and you get them to come back, that's 3 points. So we were playing this game, and it's like, I've got these two guys who are like directors of this company competing with me about who can get the most points of this thing. And we were peeing ourselves laughing because it was just so funny. And then the next year we went, and they were like, right, Andy, what are we doing this time? And I'm like, oh, I said, I know what we'll do. We'll do a traffic light system. He says, what do you mean? I said, right, you've got to talk to somebody with green clothes on, either a top or trousers, amber clothes on top, and then red, right? And we're doing that in the point system. So I set about doing all this kind of stuff. And then at the end of the day, we were having a bit of a laugh about it. And I went, yeah. I said, but have you got proof? No, they went, no. So I got my phone out and I just went click, 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 click. And I've got pictures of traffic light people all the way through the day of me chatting to them and then taking selfies with them. And it was just a real laugh. But obviously sometimes it can get a little bit monotonous and boring, can't it, doing the same thing? And I just think it's quite funny to just have a laugh with the guys. It was good.
Yeah, and I think that's been the very common thread of this whole interview is that you just want to have fun, help people, and it just comes across with everything that you've spoke about. Having a laugh, and supporting other people seems to just be, a very big part of who you are and what you do, which is just fantastic. There needs to be more people with that ethos in life, definitely.
Yeah, I think you're right. It doesn't cost anything to be nice. I always say,
No.
It doesn't, and if you've got nothing nice to say, don't say it.
Yeah.
If all you want to be doing is evil, then don't be.
One thing I forgot to sort of ask you about is obviously this whole event is raising money for Help for Heroes, but
yes,
I know that you have done and do charity work, as well. Is it? Can you just share a bit of information about some of the things that you've been involved with?
I've done a few cancer charity events where I rode. No, I row. I went about row.
Yeah.
About 26 miles for charity, and then I pedalled 100 miles for charity as well. But apart from that, these are what we're talking about, and what you think you're talking about is the charity installs. So what we do is we find a worthy customer or recipient, and they're usually something like food kitchens or like a soup kitchen, food kitchens, community centres, things like that. That what we do is we'll find them the needy customer. They've got no money, they've got no heating, and then what we do is we'll beg, steal, and borrow the pipe, the fittings, the boiler, the radiators, and then we'll because we've got big followings on social media, we'll ask people to come to a certain event, and then we will allocate them jobs. So usually, and all the ones I've been on, we turn up without 7:30, wherever it is in the country. We start at 7:30 and usually finish by 2 or 3 o'clock. By that time, you're fitted a full central heating, maybe 8, 12, 14, 16 rads, and you've got the job done. The customer's got the full heating done. They haven't had to pay anything, and we've been there and done it. And the last one we did was in Woking, and that was a right laugh because we turned up. I think there were about 18 of us there, and we had a right laugh. Throughout the day, it was a right laugh. We had a guy called Mandeep. He came and he'd cooked a curry the night before, and he brought it down and fed us all. And so it was a lovely day, and the food was great. We had a right laugh. I think I set off at about 3:15 in the morning, and I got home about 7 at night, because obviously a long way from where I live. Yeah. And it was a right laugh. It was great, and it was a real good giggle. The one before that was at Chesterfield, Lounsleigh Green Community Centre, and I'd asked people to come and help us. I've got all the stuff there. We've got the dates. I've got people who said they were coming, and I had a few people drop out last minute, and you're thinking, oh, no. And I was thinking, I'm going to end up fitting all this by myself because nobody's going to turn up. Have nightmares. I didn't sleep the night before. And then we got there, and there were 45 plumbers turned up from all over the country, right? So we've got plumbers passing other plumbers' tools to plaster other plumbers. It was like, it was a right laugh, and it was good. And I think that to make it all, to put it into perspective of why we do it, I don't have a lot of money to give people, but I've got, my knowledge. I've got a day. Sometimes it takes the person who organises it is like 3 or 4 days, but it's a great thing to do. You feel really good at the end of it. And I was at Liverpool. We did one in Liverpool, and I remember we were finishing the job off. It was like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and we'd been there, like I said, since about 6. We set off about 5, and I was going to the van to get some of the last fittings just to finish the job. And there was like 20 vans on this road, all parked outside the community centre. And we were all in there working. And a guy was walking down with his wife. And he went, all right, mate. He says, do you want to buy a van? So I was like, I said, yeah, can I have that transit van? I said, because I've only got this old Toyota. I said, I prefer that one. And he went, what are you doing in there? Sorry about my crappy accent. I'll pack it in now. And I said, I explained to him what we were doing. And you know what? A little tear came in his eye, and he put his hand out like that, and he shook my hand. He said, I only live across the road. Oh, sorry. He says, I only live across the road there. And that's going to make a right difference there. So what? He didn't have quite a high-pitched voice like that. He said, but that is going to make such a difference to the community where I live. He said, thanks ever so much. And that made it worthwhile for me. All the extra hard work, effort, setting off early, getting up, your diesel, all that kind of stuff. It made it worthwhile doing. And that's why we do it.
Oh, that sounds absolutely fantastic, man. And to get that many people, you know, to be involved and give up their time and expertise you can't help but smile, can you? You know, knowing that there's people out there that are doing this for needy causes, which is just fantastic. On that note, if people want to learn more about you or follow you, or hopefully want to offer help and stuff on other charity things like this, where's the best place for them to find out a bit more about Andy?
I'm on Twitter on I Love Plumbing. If you look through anything what says I Love Plumbing on it, it's usually me. So that's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, or it's Andy Cam, Cozy Warm Plumber. But also we do a lot of things, Warriors of Warmth. That's one of the things that we work for. That's a charity. So any of those, if you want to get in touch with us, that'd be great. And we
excellent.
So
excellent. So I'm going to just close the interview on one last question. And basically it would be, if you had to give one bit of advice, you know, from your 40 plus years of experience, it can be a bit of advice, a business advice, a technical bit of advice. What would the one bit of advice be you would like to pass on to, you know, other people that are in the industries?
Never give up. So you'll get a lot of people who doubt you and a lot of people who work for other people. If you're self-employed and you want to be self-employed, stick at it. And keep training. Always train. I'm still training now and I'm 58 years old. And the reason why I'm training is because I want to make myself better and I want to be able to help other people out if I can. So my bit of advice for you would be, don't be a quitter. You know, don't let the other people drag you down to their level. And if they do, you know, sometimes, you're knocking about with the right people. Sometimes you get to the stage where you think, I'm really knocking about with the right people because all they want to do is pull people down, and I don't want to be like that. So I'd say never quit and keep going, and your dream will come true. I promise. Excellent.
Well, this is a fantastic way to end the interview. If you haven't already, please head over to the donate page so you can help us in raising our target for Help for Heroes. Again, Andy, you know, we could have sat here for another 2 hours, you know, chatting away. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you at the Trades Growth Summit. And I look forward to speaking to you soon, Andy. Thanks again.
Thank you, mate. Thanks for having us on. Cheers, mate. See you later.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Bye, mate.
I really hope you enjoyed the show. I just wanted to pull it out there for anyone listening that I offer business coaching, but also life coaching. My life is centered around something called the 3 Bs, which stands for body, business, and balance. When you work with me as a coach, we tackle all 3 aspects of life. So you as an individual, body, mindset, health, fitness, knowledge, education. Business B obviously stands for your business, improving, maximizing opportunities, elevating, making more money. And balance stands for your friends, family, loved ones, you know, making time for everything in your life. And the 3 Bs is the core element to that. If you'd like to learn more, I would ask you to reach out to me on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, wherever you might be consuming my information. Or you can email me directly at wayne@offthetools.co.uk. I'm here waiting to assist you to elevate across all aspects of life. Have a good one. No excuses. Let's go.